flair, and mushrooms tastier. Butter makes food taste better naturally.
On top of a cob?
Or eating on the job.
Butter makes it taste much better naturally.
Because only butter tastes like butter.
Ambitious Canadians who want to make it in the world of show business often leave home to prove themselves. It seems to be a Canadian tradition. The road to stardom commonly takes performers south of the border to the movie and television capitals of Los Angeles and New York. But Wilf Wakely of Vancouver unexpectedly bumped into fame and modest fortune in an unlikely land. He became a star in Japan.
I'm Wilf Wakely, and this is a national refrigerator.
Meet Wilf Wakely. If you passed him on the street in Vancouver, you would not bat an eye. But if he were walking on the streets of Osaka, Japan, passers-by would do a double take and break into giggles. Wilf is a fast-talking Vancouver native who found a way of striking the funny bones of millions of Japanese. How did he do it? By selling refrigerators in his own unique style on Japanese television.
これがナショナルのザ・ビッグ。ぎょうさん入りますせ。これならお買い物を1週間1回で済みますがな。何しろ今の時代はお家がだんだん遠くなる。
自然が近くなるとお買い物は遠くなります。そこでナショナル冷凍冷蔵庫ザ・ビッグ。
うわ、あら。そやけどこれはちょっときついと違うか?
You may not see the humor in the commercials, but the Japanese sure do. Wilf speaks with an Osaka dialect. It is traditionally used by their comedians. It is like speaking broken English. The Japanese find it hilarious. Wilf picked it up in Osaka nightclubs and bars, and within 2 years, he was fluent.
Well, the language thing was I took 4 lessons. I learned how to say this is a pencil, and I just gave up in despair and said to myself, Wakely, you'll never learn this ... language. And then I got some good advice to stay away from people who are really anxious to learn English because that's all you'll speak. And then secondly, to go to the meanest, grubbiest little bars in town and drink with the guys that are so south they can't attempt a foreign language, and thirdly, to try and get a Japanese girlfriend. And I took all of that advice, and it just came kind of naturally, I suppose.
Wilf's comic style has won the Japanese over because he is one of the few Westerners who has absorbed the Japanese culture, and he knows just where and how to poke fun.
Wilf, you're certainly much more popular and famous in Japan than you are in Vancouver. When you went to Japan after you graduated from high school here, how did you ever get into radio and television? What started it all?
Well, it was a bit of an unusual happening because I had a date with a girl, and I was to meet her at a TV station, or at least downtown, and then it changed to a TV station. I walked in trying to find her and walked right into a studio that was on the air, and a guy shoved the mic in my face and said something in Osaka dialect, and I answered back, and they all laughed, and I came back next week, and then I was regular, so it just kind of snowballed from there. I didn't go over and, apply for the job of fool on Japanese TV.
Is that what you consider yourself?
Oh, well, no, I don't think I...
What kind of a personality are you there? What sort of things do you do?
Well, I like to...
What are you known for?
I like to think I'm a bit of a smorgasbord. I like to think that I can do serious things. I've done some in the past. And on the other hand, I have been paid rather well for being a bit of a goofy guy, and so self-image-wise, I suppose I'd like to think of myself as all these things, but you ask some Japanese person, maybe they've got a different idea.
Over the next 3 years, he juggled his Japanese performances with university at UBC in Vancouver. In 1976, it was time to get serious, and Wilf returned to Vancouver with Tiger, his Japanese wife-to-be. He enrolled at UBC Law School. A year later, they were married here in Vancouver in a traditional Canadian wedding, but that wasn't the end of it. The Japanese wanted to know what happened to their Canadian star. And so, last summer, one of the Japanese television networks asked the newlyweds to return to Osaka to get married in a traditional Japanese ceremony on television. The show is called The Happy Wedding. And, unlike the Tiny Tim marriage to Miss Vicky on Johnny Carson's show, this TV wedding was a serious and formal event. refrigerator buffoon gave up the career. Wilf did one more commercial after the TV wedding before he and his bride left for a round-the-world honeymoon, courtesy of the TV station. Today, they are settled in Vancouver. Wilf is an articling lawyer, and he hopes to channel his legal skills into the blossoming Pacific Rim Japanese business community.
Is that going to be a big change?
Yes, I'm going to have to switch gears, obviously. I'm going to have to be much more serious and much more conservative, and I'll have to drop the Osaka dialect and drop the giggles, and I don't imagine I'll be doing any refrigerator commercials. I'm going to have to change gears, yeah. They're very class conscious, so that people who are practicing law aren't expected to pull frozen fish out of refrigerators and ask them to speak to people, you know. So yeah, I'd have to do that here if I
guess that's the most unexpected career.
Yeah.
I guess you never thought any of this would ever happen.
I'm still trying to get over it there.
カナダの後期懐かしいお母ちゃん
George Hewison of the United Fishermen and Allied Workers Union will now be allowed to represent the union in the Canada-U.S. fishery negotiations.